Caleb is trying to make himself a 4-time regional champion, has taken down 3 regionals so far, looking to make it. I actually remember the Philadelphia regional champions. I was one of his victims on his way to win that regional champion with the Buzzwole Garbodor deck. Looking to get that clean 4 accomplishments there, 4 regional championships, playing comfy with Kyogre.
Yeah, of course, comfy with Kyogre. This Lost Zone box, it just takes prizes left and right, able to take knockouts on the first turn. And of course, he's up against Henry Brand. Again, Perth Regional Champion, 2019 World Champion, and then Regional Champion again, and of course, OCIC Top 8. What a stacked last game we have. Again, champion against champion, but technically we only have 1 world champion here, so I wonder if that's going to come into play. Of course, he's playing the Gardevoir EX deck, something I kind of have a little bit of money on. Gardevoir EX, very, very powerful with the Psychic Embrace, and has almost no damage cap. Well, only HP is your damage cap, but you're not going to need that much. I wonder how he's going to have to maneuver this gameplay. His gameplay against Lost Box, because again, in theory, this is a tough matchup. Looking at the prizes right now, though, a couple of Nest Ball prize there for Caleb, and Energy Recycler, Battle VIP, that's all okay. On Henry's side of the field, though, the Penny, that's what I want to talk about. Penny is prized. 3 big cards in this matchup. Penny is definitely one of them. Any way you can heal damage off against this Lost Box deck, you're going to be in a favorable spot. Cresselia, another card I have my eye on as well, and the final one would be the Roxanne, and even Collapse Stadium as well, to heal some damage off. Henry has a very similar list. What we've been seeing, of course, utilizing Zacian V with Gardevoir to attack. Lots of things to look at, lots of things to digest, but we're hopping into it here. The final match here at the Milwaukee Regional Champions. Caleb will be starting things off. All right, let's see what we have right now. Radiant Greninja in the active, just going to start us off by drawing 2 cards. Let's see, do they have anything else? I don't quite see.
I think we're spinning the wheel, Wancho.
All right, we're doing it.
Time.
We're playing some Pokemon Go. Here we go, Pokestop.
Oh,
no, we needed that.
no.
Oh, we needed all of that. Okay, there's we get a lost vacuum for all our trouble, but no real way to search for a Pokemon. Would love to even see a Pokemon V at this point, because he does have the Force Seal Stone.
And no Battle VIP pass, no flower selectings, no cards in the Lost Zone. Just a pass over to Henry. And
wait,
is he spinning the wheel?
We're all playing Pokemon Go.
Guess what? Manaphy, Gardevoir. Oh no, the Manaphy hitting the discard pile is not what you want to see.
Guys, we're here to play some TCG.
He discarded the cards to just Miriam the back game. What kind of big brain strategy is this?
Just as we planned. This is a world champion strategy there. You can't use the Miriam, again, without shuffling back some Pokemon. So we got to use the Pokestop.
This is the craziest start to a finals match I think I've seen all season. What's happening here? No battle pass, nothing here for Caleb. And he's just trying to draw 3 cards. Do we see
3 cards? There's an Ultra Ball. There's a way to get at least 1 more Pokemon and a Level Ball at the very least. There's also an Energy in hand, so we could see a Radiant Greninja or possibly even Mew. Let's see what Henry decides to grab off this Level Ball.
So Mew is kind of a risky card to put into play in this matchup, because if Caleb can play things like Escape Rope to play around it, Mew is only good when you promote it up into the active, but it's a frail Pokemon. It's got 60 HP. It clogs a bench spot. You want to have a lot of different Pokemon down in this matchup, and mainly it's just easy prizes to give up. So I'll be interested to see how Henry really values. Does he value the consistency of Mew based off the risk of it having low HP? Or does he want to play a little bit more risky, really rely off of these refinement abilities to draw into that combo pieces like Rare Candy into Gardevoir EX?
I'm trying to think, it might be the Rare Candy to Gardevoir EX just because Caleb's start was a little bit slow, no cards in the Lost Zone, which is very, very odd. So we do see the Mew energy attachment onto the Ralts in the active.
I think this is a position where, like, when your opponent doesn't have as strong of a start, you can kind of afford to, I guess, play a little bit riskier in terms of Mew being in board, because that Mysterious Tail, if it lets you get set up more than your opponent, it doesn't matter if they can get to Lost Mine and really put together those numbers, and it would be bad for your price rate if you're just going to be putting on more aggression and running ahead in the race.
All right, there we go. Mysterious Tail, looking at top 6 cards of the deck, does find the Rare Candy, possibly for the next turn. We do see the Gardevoir as well. We still have the Ultra Ball to play with here. Could get rid of the Choice Belt. There's not too many Vs. I mean, there's Dragonite and Raikou, but should be easy to hit there. There it is, Ultra Ball. Let's see what they find. Could find another Ralts. Could find the Radiant Greninja if there's another energy in hand.
Yeah, another Ralts definitely needs to come down. Escape Rope plus Colress and some Flower Selectings would 100% spell trouble here. So smartly grabbing the other Ralts, putting that into play, and hand's looking solid for next turn. Again, Caleb's not playing any way to disrupt the hand. All the cards that Henry has will stick. Rare Candy Gardevoir, exactly what you want with this deck on turn 2.
Okay, Ethan, Hear me out. Hear me out. Do you think Caleb can get into a Moonlight Shuriken from this position?
His position? Well, it all starts with his concealed cards first. He's got to get A, Chorus, and B, a bunch of Comfey in play. What are the 2 cards? It's nothing again. Mirage Gate, Escape Rope. We're going back to the wheel. We're going back to where it's comfortable.
How are we still playing Pokemon Go? Here we go. Pokestop.
Oh, come on.
Okay. Still no cards in the Lost Zone. This might be just another pass.
Do you play Escape Rope and go in? I think Escape Rope here is maybe okay. You can bench the Manaphy and play Escape Rope just so that Mew can't be utilized in combination with an attack on Henry's side. I think it's at least your best way to buy some time, and I think Caleb agrees here.
That is a fair play. There we go. Manaphy to the active. Let's see who. Oh, I mean, there's a Ralt, probably. Yeah, there we go.
Pick your poison, right? Do you want to memory skip away a splashing attack on Manaphy? I guess that's going to be the choice here for Henry if it comes to that. But we know Rare Candy Gardevoir already in hand.
The question is how many energies Henry has. I believe I did see 2. He's going to need at least 1 more. Does have Worker to work with and a Refinement Curlia. So, of course, Refinement, discarding 1 card, draw 2. Seems like a pretty good trade to me. Let's see what they can get. All they need is an energy. And, Fog Crystal.
Fog Crystal is there. I think Worker still here is fine. I think playing this before the Fog Crystal is smart. You want to just maximize drawing into more Psychic Energy. You're going to want to have those discarded, have those in play. Not drawing into any quite yet, but does, of course, have the Fog Crystal, Rare Candy into Gardevoir, attachment for turn with Fog Crystal. Finding the Psychic Energy, or actually, maybe it doesn't even need it here. Instead, just grabbing another Ralts out of the deck.
Yep. Again, Gardevoir, 310 HP. Pretty tough to deal with. Does have the attack.
Are there 3 in there? Oh, there are 3 in there.
There are 3. Interesting play here. Again, putting 3 energy onto the Gardevoir means you're putting 60 damage on it. That's in range of a Dragonite.
It is. I think at this point, though, it comes back to the same fact that Henry feels so far in advance because Caleb has established nothing on this board. The Battle VIP Pass is great, but we're long past that time period. Finally finds Chorus, though, off of the Radiant Greninja concealed cards. At least get something started here.
All right, Chorus Experiment again, very, very important card. This supporter.
Are you kidding me? Okay, there's a Nest Ball there, but I mean, 1 Comfey, and it's got to start a train of a lot of good cards off these flower selectings for Caleb to stay in this game.
He's going to need to find a Comfey off that Comfey, quite possibly. But yeah, again, Chorus, very, very powerful card. Going to get 2 cards into the Lost Zone for Caleb, but this is possibly the slowest start I've ever seen for Lost Box, especially piloted by Caleb. Let's see here what he's still trying to make the decision of what to send to the Lost Zone. Obviously, the Battle VIP Pass, pretty easy choice there. It's going to be the Water Energy. Yeah, it looks like it is. Draws 3 cards here. Let's see what else Caleb can show us. There's the Nest Ball. Nest Ball probably going to find a Pokemon that really likes to pick its flowers there. But is this his first deck search?
This is. Yeah, this is his first time seeing what he's got access to. He's just going to take some time, make sure he understands what resources are available, what he can afford to Lost Zone away. And this is actually going to be the Raikou V, valuing that ability to put the Forest Seal Stone on it, play the Star Power, and looking at the hand, it looks like it's just going to be getting Comfey down into play. Maybe just wants to have the V Pokemon established. It's an interesting choice. I think
that was
compared to grabbing, I'm just trying to think like what value this provides to utilize your Star Power, grab Comfey instead of just grabbing Comfey with something like Nest Ball.
I'm trying to think of it as well. I can't quite see it. It does widen your board here, and it does, at least it gives you at least 1 more Pokemon to work with, quite possibly. But yeah, there we go. It looks like it's going to be a Nest Ball into a Raikou.
I think the idea here behind using this Forest Seal Stone is he wants to get 1 more card in the Lost Zone with this Lost Vacuum. So putting himself at a good mount. Hopefully we got a Lost Zone counter updated here so we see how many cards are available in Lost Zone. I believe that is the 2nd card or the 3rd card going into the Lost Zone here. We've seen Colress get played and then 1 flower selecting. So this should be number 4 off of this here. So Cramorant is now in range to attack.
And yeah, right now, again, Spit Innocently does 110 damage, probably just enough to knock out that Mew there. And but let's see what else Caleb has in store for us. Yeah, there it is, 4 cards in the Lost Zone. The first magic number we have to hit, of course. Next one is 7, and afterwards it's 10. But right now, what we care about, there it is, the Spit Innocently on the Cramorant, take a knockout on the Mew. We go back into the Gardevoir. And let's see what Henry Brand can do for us here. He has the entire Gardevoir family in play right now. Gardevoir, Curlia, and Ralts. Is going to refine here, draws 2. Draws into an Ultra Ball and a Forest Seal Stone. again, he has Collapse Stadium in hand. It's not something I'm sure that's something he wants to hold on to in case something does get a little bit beat up. It's something you can just play down and then discard that Pokemon. Shining Arcana, Gardevoir getting dropped, draws 2 there. Any Psychic Energy? Nope, but we still drew some pretty good cards there. Haven't found the second Kirlia just yet.
Nope, not online, but of course, we'll be able to search the deck out with Fog Crystal, and now that Caleb has started to get things going, 4 cards in the Lost Zone, gotta wonder when Henry wants to stop attacking with this active Gardevoir EX and pivot maybe over to something like the Cresselia. It's hard to take knockouts on the Comfey, and this is where Cresselia is great. Not only does it heal the damage off your board, but it also leaves a Pokemon like Cramorant stranded in the active spot, so it's less cards for your opponent to continue to build up the Lost Zone, and when you're not taking knockouts, you can slowly start to weave the prize trade over and heal off some of this damage.
That is true. That is a great card to grab there off the level wall. There it is, 1 more Refinement Kirlia. That means that's 2 more cards in the hand. You mentioned it right. Hopefully we draw into the Cresselia here. Radiant Greninja, that's pretty good as well. Again, able to concealed cards to draw 2 more. We do have an energy in hand.
Yeah, the issue with Cresselia too is I guess you now have enough Pokemon in play, so let's see what he gets here.
I mean, he does have Ultra Ball. So.
Oh, that is true. Ultra Ball's there for sure. Also, just drew into Judge. I feel like that's a card that's really strong in this matchup. Hand disrupting a deck like the Lost Zone engine that wants to constantly build up, put together these big combo turns with Mirage Gate, and it seems like we have the same idea here. Henry grabbing Cresselia, and this might be paired with something like the Judge to limit Caleb's size of his hand and try and put together a few turns of just buying prize denial, leaving damage on the board and slowly healing it off with Cresselia to put himself in a favorable position.
That's true. I mean, we could see that coming. I mean, Ultra Ball there finding the Manaphy. Always an interesting spot, like when to drop the Manaphy. But right now we do have a Kirlia in play. And, actually, just a Kirlia. That's the only thing that can potentially get knocked out by the Radiant Greninja. But there it is, the Judge. One of the big power cards, really, for Henry Brand in this matchup. Just because, again, great equalizer there. Both players shuffle up and draw 4 cards. And, the Lost Box deck, it's always the type of deck that tries to string together attackers, and if you can disrupt that, that's pretty good.
That's the main goal. It's why it's here. It's to slow the opponent down while you have this great draw engine, Shining Arcana, Refinement, concealed cards, a whole bunch of options. There it is, pivoting into the Cresselia. Can utilize this Moonglow reverse to put some damage counters on, and I'm pretty sure this is just going to go ahead and target down the Comfey. No other option besides that. This will heal the Gardevoir up to 40, so now, as you mentioned, out of Dragonite V range. I have to imagine here for Caleb, this will be a big 4 cards. Do you see a switch card in hand so that can at least pivot this Cramorant out, but it's 1 more resource that's needed to burn. And Henry taking the prize lead here, going down to 4 prizes.
There we go, Moonglow reverse taking knockout on the Comfey. This could be big because, again, Caleb has really been struggling sending cards to the Lost Zone, so taking those out of play, yeah, definitely big. As Hisuian Heavy Ball now being played. Nothing in the prizes that could that we could grab there, so at least Caleb is a little bit more sure what's in there now.
And Henry is slowly building up this Shining Arcana Gardevoir on the bench to be able to attack without having damage counters on it. Usually we see this thing always attack when you're using Psychic Embrace to put damage counters on it, but in this matchup, pretty counterintuitive when your opponent can find exact ways to knock out your Pokemon. So definitely keep your eye out on that Gardevoir. But over on Caleb's side, getting things off to a nice start, finally pivoting out the Cramorant from the active spot, and flower selecting.
I think
it's always a tough choice when you put the cards back down. You're looking at your Lost Zone, and it is one of these choices between an energy and that energy recycler. This is a matchup where you can still utilize Kyogre. Your opponent's got a lot of ways to bring Manaphy back, so sometimes it can be pretty hard to pull off. Your opponent can technically put it down 3 times, right? You can Manaphy, you can use Miriam, and then Palpad Miriam back in and do it again. But I think the choice to get rid of Recycler is fine here, so you still at least have the energy cards. We're building up the Lost Zone quickly, though. 7 cards now in the Lost Zone.
All right, 7 cards in Lost Zone. That means we can use the Mirage Gate again after that Comfey. Caleb probably choosing to have energy now rather than later, as I get Flower Selecting already been used. Mirage Gate there, attaching a Lightning Energy and a Water Energy onto that Raikou. I mean, that's one way to deal with a Cresselia. Cresselia, again, has 120 HP. Here we go. Gets fleet-footed. 1 more card. Why not? And Lightning Rondo is going to be the attack here for more than enough to take a knockout on the Cresselia.
Definitely a trade-off. But as you said, right, if you let this Cresselia stay, it's going to slowly start to heal off more and more damage that you build up on your board. And this is the way to deal with it. But as I said, that Shining Arcana Gardevoir, right now, if it just has a single attachment, 150, only needs to put 40 damage counters on it, or 4 damage counters on it, in order to get a knockout.
Let's see if they can draw into energy, maybe bypass it. No.
Maybe less. We got one more chance, though. Do we go for it here?
No, it's going to be a refinement first. That'd be interesting if they decides to play a second Gardevoir. Oh, it looks like it is.
I don't think it's a bad idea. You're never forced to put the Gardevoir into a situation where it can get knocked out by Dragonite. It's going to take multiple turns for something like Sableye to knock it out. So you can go a little bit more aggressive in your building to just build your board up with these Shining Arcana Gardevoirs. Not only does it allow you to draw cards without having to discard, but more importantly, it just builds HP to these support Pokemon that help you draw through your deck.
Exactly. I mean, both these Gardevoir have 140 HP, Radiant Greninja 130. The only small Pokemon in play is that Manaphy. So, yeah, there we go. We're going to see a couple of Psychic Embrace there. 40 damage on that Gardevoir. Brings it down to 100, so Cramorant can take this knockout. But Henry Brand's actually just about to take 2 prizes here. Very, very big.
5 energy, all that's needed there, 210 damage will knock out this Raikou. And Palpad, sure, this is going to bring back Judge and the Miriam we saw in the discard pile. And those are the exact choices. And Henry taking a big prize lead here, going down to 2 prizes, and there's not a lot of damage on his board.
Exactly. I'm trying to think. You know, typically when you have 4 prizes left against Lost
and he's scooping the game up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wow, look at that. Caleb understands there's no way for him to take this prize lead, put it back in his favor, even close the game out with something like Kyogre with the Miriam going back in the deck. Henry, a pretty shocking series of events, takes game 1. I mean, Caleb didn't start the game out well, but I mean, talking about this matchup on paper throughout the day, throughout the weekend, we keep praising Lost Box and its ability to target down the Kirlia engine, target down Refinement, get rid of some of these pieces, and be a pretty favorable matchup for this Lost Zone engine.
That's for sure. I mean, Henry Brand now up 1 game, is 1 game away from making his trip worth it here. Again, had to come from the other side of the world. But again, he still has he still has the Lost Box to contend with. It's still going to be an uphill battle, but I mean, if anyone can do it, again, it's going to be a world champion. Would love to see all the techs come into play. Would love to see the Penny for a heal, the Collapse Stadium, attacking with Gardevoir, and then collapsing it maybe. Would love to see some plays. Would love to see Caleb's deck really function like how it did in top 4. But we're going to have to see here.
Henry didn't even have to use any of those cards like the Penny that was in the prize cards to shift damage off, but I don't think that was a really great indication of how this matchup usually goes. Caleb had to take 2 turns off.
Yeah.
Lost Box in this matchup, if it's functioning well, it's at least getting the first hit off, if not usually taking prize cards before Henry was able to. But Henry able to take the first prize card before Caleb, and then from there, Caleb was forced into a situation where he needed to deal with Cresselia. Best way was to do it via Lightning Rondo. Penny loves to hide down the prizes, it seems, for Henry.
Penny, just skipping school here. No.
Playing hooky, it seems like, yeah.
All right, Caleb here, starting with the Radiant Greninja. Not quite Comfey, but it's still going to net us a couple of cards. Gets a Nest Ball here, so could find a Pokemon. Looks like he's eyeing out that Dragonite because we do have the Forest Seal Stone in hand. Has a couple of cards to work with as well. What do you think you grab here as Caleb?
I mean, I think it's fine to grab Dragonite. You can Forest Seal Stone and then get Battle VIP Pass. You already have Colress in your hand. Seems like a fair trade-off. I think Caleb just understands, like, if the same thing happens in game 1 that happens here, where you just get a few bad flower selectings, you don't get enough cards. I think in this matchup, you don't have to play as aggressive with your Forest Seal Stone, but I could understand grabbing I personally, I play a little bit more passive, just grab the Comfey. Nothing's really threatening the turn after, and you have Colress to see through more, but it may just be that explosive power of only being able to play Battle Pass on turn 1 means that just getting more Comfey into play guaranteed to find that second copy will be worth it.
Something of note as well, Henry Brand has the Zacian V in the active. Does have 220 HP. If Caleb wants to deal with it this next turn, it has to be the Dragonite anyway. Right, and Henry Brand can as easily Roar of the Sword attach, and technically has an attack right after that. But we do see, again, there's the Dragonite V with the Forest Seal Stone, grabbing the Battle VIP Pass. 2 Comfeys in play now. This is looking much, much better for Caleb.
Definitely better. Let's not make that. That was one of the games of all time, the first game that we saw. And no flower selecting the first few turns. Caleb starting things off, has an energy card to pivot out this Radiant Greninja, has an escape rope as well, I believed. And over on Henry's side, starting that Zacian V. not one of the best Pokemon to start. It is a 2-prize Pokemon. Sure, you can attach to it Roar of the Sword and threaten an attack, but if it's taking damage, it's really not a great trade for you 2-for-1.
That is true. Let's see what else Caleb has here. Does have the escape rope. Unfortunately, Henry can't bet or retreat to anything as we see. Is this Caleb's first flower selecting?
Oh, this is the first flower selecting. I think it's escape rope and energy recycler are the 2 cards. And oh no, actually Echoing Horn. And Echoing Horn is a card to guarantee knockouts later on in the game. Of course, Ralts 70 HP, 60 HP, even with the one that prevents your opponent from attacking using a certain attack the following turn. And one more flower selecting. And like I said, Caleb just getting tough choices early on, not what you want to see.
Let's see what it is. Share it with us, Caleb. It's, I believe that's a Nest Ball and
one other card.
Again, prioritizing Pokemon or... No, it's still not sure. Oh, Clara.
And remember, the other one is in the prize cards at the top, being so. I think a smart choice understands that to win this game, you're going to have to utilize Sableye multiple times, sometimes bring back things like Radiant Greninja. You've got to really value that resource over finding one more Pokemon. But besides that, look at this board for Caleb. He's got everything down he wants. Cramorant for next turn, 2 cards in the Lost Zone, and Colress to follow things up on his second turn.
Not too bad indeed. As we move over to Henry's turn, does have the Forest Seal Stone as well. So he can go for the same play. Try and find a battle VIP pass off the Forest Seal Stone, but also has access to the level ball. I believe I saw a rare candy Gardevoir too in hand, so he does have access to that next turn. There we go. We see the attachment. V-Star Power, Star Alchemy. Let's find one card called Battle VIP Pass, if I have to guess.
Be a smart guess on my end, too. I think had Worker in hand as well, so could draw some more cards. I feel like, yeah, getting Battle Pass down is good. Of course, you just want to get some more of those basic Pokemon so you can follow that up. Following turn, something like the Rare Candy or even finding an attachment this turn would not be bad, because that way you, again, Roar of the Sword, attach for turn, and then next turn you could follow it up with a Storm Slash for 150 damage. But these 2 Pokemon here, most likely going to have to get down Ralts. And my question is, do you really get Manaphy? Do you think your opponent's going to be able to get to 7 cards in the Lost Zone? With the V-Star Power use, it's a little bit more difficult. Of course, it would either have to be with something like Colress and 3 flower selectings or Colress, some flower selectings, and a Lost Vacuum. But it is definitely going to be potentially even game-defining if Caleb can take a 2-prize turn and take a knockout on 2 Ralts next turn.
That would be big. Wow, Caleb's board is just absolutely intimidating. Again, so many options here for the Lost Box, as we do see Henry Rand just picking a Radiant Greninja, and that Raw is going to use the Concealed Cards ability, draw 2 more. Gets Fog Crystal and another energy. He has a lot of search still in hand. Opts for the level ball there. Let's see if Henry respects the Radiant Greninja play. Is Manaphy in the deck here? There it is. Manaphy being brought to the front. Manaphy. And now the bench is a little bit more protected. We can go a little bit wider here. I believe Fog Crystal being played too.
Yep, this will grab another Ralts for sure. Could also, with the other level ball in hand, grab Cresselia, but I don't think you're really forced to put Cresselia down now. Rather, build up this Ralts engine to eventually evolve, start drawing you cards, and of course, utilize Psychic Embrace to put these energy into play.
That is true. I mean, the Fog Crystal was just used for the Ralts and Curly. The Cresselia, gonna have to find another way to search, but it's just gonna be a Roar of the Sword there onto the Zacian. No attachment either, so not really threatening it, unless, of course, we have the rare Candy Gardevoir. Didn't even choose to play the Worker, interestingly enough. Really wants to get rid of the Pokestop, potentially.
Over on Caleb's side, finally getting an easy choice here off this Colress. 2 battle VIP pass, no need to think. Throw those away, the Lost Zone, they can't be played. Thinking about what attack is best. I mean, this Zacian in the active could be primed to several different attacks, mainly that Dragonite V on the bench. Utilize Dragon Gale if there's enough cards in the Lost Zone with Mirage Gate to knock out this Zacian.
I see 5 cards in the Lost Zone and the Lost Vacuum in hand. The question is, does he have Mirage Gate? Does he have energy?
I think it really will come. The problem is you can play this Switch card, but there's one piece missing. If there was just an energy card, a water energy in this hand, what do you do with this position here?
That's Kyogre or energy.
So the question is, do you use Kyogre in this matchup? I feel like typically a lot of people default to not really prioritizing it as the win condition. Of course, Manaphy's in the deck. There's plenty of ways to get Manaphy back. But at the same time, having the water energy is definitely a solid option as well. Deciding to get rid of Kyogre, we won't see an Aqua Storm this game. Instead, wants to have the energy card down so that Dragonite's a potential option. Attacking with Cram this turn is a potential option in terms of pivoting. Seems smart to me in the moment.
Yeah, that's for sure. But it always feels bad to lose one of those options, right? As Lost Boss, you have so many options to be able to take your prizes. And losing Kyogre, that's one of your win conditions. Opts to use concealed cards there just to draw 2 more cards. And does play the Hisuian Heavy Ball. Let's see what they can grab off the prizes. There is a Comfey there hiding out. Opts to grab it again. Now still has to draw into the Water Energy once again if they want to attack with a Dragonite. Might just see something like a Spit innocently here, possibly in combination with maybe an Escape Rope potentially. We'll have to see here. Caleb's taking down some notes, realizing, you know, let's see what's been played, what's been used, what I have in my prizes. And yep, there we go. Just shuffling it back up. Let's see what else Caleb can do here. Prizing the Clara going down to the bottom now, and the Energy Recycler. That's a little bit better. That's a little bit better of a placement. I just realized there's 2 Energy Recyclers prized there. As ooh, are we playing it? There we go. Lost Vacuum. Is Raikou going to hang out in the Lost Zone? Yeah.
Raikou's tough because if both players have full bench, it can do 220 damage, so it can knock out Zacian, but Dragonite's a more consistent way to be able to take knockouts. I have to see the other options here. I don't think there's a better option for Caleb to get rid of. Nothing like Battle VIP Pass. Could have potentially held the other Forest Seal Stone and chose to Lost Zone that instead, but I think not having Raikou is not too big of a deal, just like not having Kyogre isn't the end of the world either.
That is true. Here we go. Psychic Energy on the Comfey signifies a retreat of some kind.
Cramorant for sure, I think, here. Just wants to be able to put some pressure on. At minimum, with 8 cards in the Lost Zone, Lost Mine is very much a potential option. Sure, Cresselia is sort of scary, but even if Cresselia heals off for now, you can always have that damage there for later to one day finish it off with Lost Mine, or even something like a Cramorant down the line.
That is true. Looks like Level Ball being used there, grabbing 1 more Ralt. Interestingly enough, not opting to grab a Cresselia there.
Sorry, I think I shuffled enough. Yeah.
Oh, that looks like just shuffling up a little bit, and then of course you have to follow it up with a cut. But yeah, looks like Henry just about to draw cards with the Concealed Cards ability. What do you think he's looking for here?
Rare Candy, Gardevoir, for sure. Wants to be able to attack somehow. I think already has Rare Candy in hand and found the Ultra Ball there off the Concealed card, so that will allow him to get this combination of cards.
I believe they already had the Gardevoir in hand as well. Yeah, they just had
Gardevoir?
it. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, has the Gardevoir already, so I mean, this could find. Do you even want to play the Ultra Ball? No. Looks like just going to refine first. See 2 more cards. What do you want off this Ultra Ball? We could see something like, I think it feels risky. You could grab Cresselia. Yep, that would work. I feel like leaving this damage on the Zacian just a little bit too risky. By utilizing Cresselia this turn, you put the Zacian down to 90. So Lost Mine would be 10 damage short of taking the knockout. So feels like there's not a better time to do it than now. Slowly heal this off. Do the same thing you did. Leave this Cramorant in the active. Knock out one of these bench Comfey. Leave it on your opponent to find what they need. It's just going to be 1 more switching card they need to sometimes put together these combinations to stay in the game, stay on pace.
That is true. Might have to attach an energy. At least it's from hand there, I believe. So it doesn't have to put any more excess damage on that Zacian. Again, and there we go. We're going to Psychic Embrace to put damage on the board and a couple of energies. And right now, that should be, again, 4 Psychic Pokemon that are damaged. That's 80 damage. We can move on over. Looks like we're going to take a knockout on a Comfey.
Zacian going down to 90. Henry, again, taking the first prize cards in this set. This Cramorant's in the active spot. Does Caleb have something like a Colress to follow this up? I think it is there. Would put him to 10 cards in the Lost Zone. So one of the plays sometimes you can make is just Lost Mine and put 12 damage counters on this active Cresselia. Just remove it out of play. Say, listen, you've got to play something like Miriam to put it back in. But it is risky. This is one of the pieces that's so valuable in this matchup, usually to target down Curlia. But any excess damage you leave on the board, it feels like the more Pokemon you spread it to, the more value Cresselia gets because you don't need to utilize Psychic Embrace to damage your own Pokemon to move the damage over.
That is true. We have to deal with this Cresselia now. Again, and we can't knock it out as with something like the Spit innocently. Because Cresselia does have 120 HP. That 10 extra HP is just the world here. But Caleb does have a Sableye in hand. Has 10 cards in the Lost Zone. That is the magic number there. And let's see what else. No Psychic Energy just yet, but does have Mirage Gate.
And Concealed Cards also available, so can utilize this Concealed Cards ability. Really looking for something like the Psychic Energy doesn't want to, I think, burn Mirage Gate just to attack with this Sableye. It would be a guaranteed option. I think it's better than not attacking at all. What else is available in the hand? Has Switch Card?
A lot of Mirage Gate.
That.
Let's see here. Looks like is going to bench the Sableye there, and there's the Mirage Gate. Should be able to accelerate 2 energies. Yeah, it's going to be probably the Psychic to the Sableye and just an attachment to the active. Simple enough. Not too bad there. I just think how powerful Mirage Gate is, just being able to split your energy, split your attachments. It's all the difference, to be honest. And let's see what else Caleb can do for us. Again, just looking at the Gardevoir there, I wonder what he's trying to find. Like maybe trying to find where the memory skip route is potentially. No,
no de-evolution spray right now. No way to de-evolve the Pokemon. I think we'll just see Lost Mine target down Cresselia, or it will put the Zacian in range to be dealt with later on. That's probably the best course of action. You know your opponent hasn't played something like Miriam yet. Targeting down Kirlia is also an option. You could target the Kirlia down, put 4 damage counters on the Zacian, and even if 2 are moved over the following turn, you can Lost Mine again to knock it out. I don't think that's a bad play either. We'll see what Caleb chooses to do. But no, it's just going to be knocking out the Cresselia. Understands it is the biggest threat on the board right now, constantly moving damage off the other damaged Pokemon, Zacian at the moment. Caleb going to 5 prizes, and what will be Henry's attacker of choice? The Gardevoir coming up seems like that might be it.
Yeah, it looks like it's just going to be that Gardevoir. Again, Gardevoir has 310 HP. There's already 1 energy on it, so we wouldn't have to attach 3 from the discard pile, put it in threat of the Dragonite as Refinement being used, discarding the Temple of Sinnoh. Not too important there. Does Henry have anything else to work with?
Has Lumineon in hand. I think the decision is, do you play that or do you play something else like the...
They have a Serena
in hand. I don't know how many cards are in hand for Caleb. There is, of course, the risk of putting Lumineon into play, using that Luminous Sign ability, finding a supporter card out of the deck. If Collapse Stadium is in play, we know the Penny is prized, but that would be a great Penny to utilize on this damaged Zacian later down the line. You can't Penny up everything. I think grabbing this to grab Judge is probably best, because if you can buy yourself a turn, you should be pretty favored in this matchup, especially since you initiated the prize trade. And that is going to be the choice here for Henry.
Yep, and again, there's already a Pokemon that's more heavily damaged than the Lumineon, right? And by using this Judge, you're equalizing the board. This is the one way you can really control these Lost Box decks. And hey, if Caleb ever decides to put damage counters on that Lumineon, again, you mentioned it earlier, yeah, the Collapse Stadium or the Penny could definitely punish that play. As 4 cards being drawn now, let's see what Henry draws into.
Does have concealed cards in combination with Refinement, does find Psychic Energy, so deciding I want to draw more cards than just attach and maybe put 2 less damage counters on my board. Does also have access to, I believe Refinement was actually already used. It looks like it was already signified, so we'll see this evolve into Gardevoir EX, really just valuing, making sure these low HP Pokemon do not get knocked out, attacking with this Gardevoir Miracle Force, knocking out Sableye, 40 damage on this, so not being threatened by a Dragonite response KO. How does Caleb really deal with this Gardevoir EX, a tanky Pokemon, 270 HP remaining in the active spot?
Yeah, right now, the easiest thing to knock out is potentially that Manaphy, but let's see what Caleb can really muster out. I mean, let's see, does have the Comfey in the active, going to use Concealed Card first, draw 2 more cards, gets Clara in the Pokestop. Clara, great card there. Pokestop, potentially a great card. What else do they have, though? I don't see any more switching on. Oh, there's a switch card.
They got 2 switch card in hand, so it is possible for him to pivot in twice with Comfey. I think maybe wants to find another Psychic Energy, using Clara just to grab 1 Pokemon back when you know your other prize is not great. If you can utilize 1 more Sableye and then Clara the turn after, you can get back double Sableye, double Energy, and have the ability to Lost Mine 2 more turns in a row. But would he even finish off with Lost Mine? Maybe now is time to start going after Manaphy and opening up the Moonlight Shuriken to put more damage on the board. That doesn't seem like a bad option.
Ooh, easy choice once again. Manaphy hits the Lost Zone there. Do you have anything else? Maybe we just use the Pokestop. Pokestop, discard a Sableye, and hey, you use it for full value, right?
Feels like Pokestop was very valuable for Caleb in some of his games like the Win-In, but this set hasn't been the most favorable to him, especially in that game 1. Flower selecting again. Ooh. What is the choice here? That's a really tough one. Yeah, Echoing Horn is great later on. You can, of course, knock out these low HP Pokemon with Sablei's Lost Mine attack, but you kind of need Colress to keep playing through the game, and I think Caleb understands that. I've got to draw more cards. I've got to hopefully find maybe another Psychic Energy to really get value and not lock myself into something like Clara, but this is the risk right now. There's no Mirage Gate, no Energy Recycler. If this Colress doesn't hit something like a Psychic Energy, it might be a little bit of trouble. So Caleb's going to just get some more information. And speaking of which, never mind. This is just a draw 3 here for Caleb in this set too, it seems like.
This is why we like playing Pokemon Go. And again, that's us 3 cards there. Mirage Gate guarantees that you can attack with the Sableye. Are we going to spend one right here, right now? And we have extra. Why not? Why not?
I don't know how many Psychic Energy in the discard pile, but it's okay, I think, to just Colress first, see if you find the Psychic Energy, and if you don't, play the Mirage Gate, because you can save the Mirage Gate if you just draw into it. So we'll see the 5 cards, what options Caleb has to work with.
Ooh.
Not the most tough choice. Nest Ball seems like a pretty easy throwaway option, but then the Lost Zone, and then it's either between the other copy of Pokestop. I think having a counter stadium option is good, especially if your opponent can play something like Collapse Stadium, but I think the bench size isn't as relevant, and Collapse Stadium just kind of getting its value on being played, nothing beyond that, so I think it's okay to get rid of Pokestop.
That is true. There we go. So many cards in the Lost Zone now, essentially dividing the board, really. And again, Caleb is forced to use that Mirage Gate now. There's nothing else. Going to use the Energy Recycler first. Might not have any more Psychic. Oh, yeah,
so
there's a lot of
so all the Psychic energy were actually in the discard pile, so Caleb was pretty much committing to making this play at any point, but wanting to play Colress first, wanting the Flower Selecting because the deck will now be flooded with a lot more energy cards. Doesn't want to have to make choices of keeping important resources and getting rid of unnecessary energy.
Yep, there we go. Looks like the choice is going to be 2 Water, 1 Lightning, and 2 Psychic. Great divide there. Yeah, it does have the Mirage Gate once again, so we should be seeing a Lost Mine here. What do we knock out? It's going to be the Manaphy?
It's tough. I think Manaphy, 2 active. What does that put you with? That puts you 3 more counters. You can put it on Zacian, and then that's down the line, able to be knocked out by Sableye as well. The only risk is that if Henry plays Miriam and brings it back, not only do you mess up the math on the Zacian, but you also mess the math up on the active. So, but at the same point, if the active's not there, it's kind of a really weird situation. But, Escape Rope's getting played first. I think the smart choice, bringing the other Gardevoir active, understanding it's pretty much the same scenario.
You have to switch with the rope.
Oh, yeah. So, make sure we figure out what's happening. Sableye comes to the active, and I'm pretty sure this Mirage Gate will put the Psychic Energy on here, and I actually like putting the Water on the Dragonite. That seems like a smart play to make sure if you play another Mirage Gate, you've got that fully powered up, and that will be Caleb's choice as well.
That is true. And again, we have to remember, Caleb no longer has access to the Kyogre. So right now, he really does have to plan around taking these big knockouts. Again, 12 damage counters. Again, could go on the Manaphy. Could still spread damage with the Moonlight Shuriken for sure. And yeah, another attachment there onto the Dragonite. Dragonite's almost ready here. If you're Henry, do you try and chase that down? But Sableye is such a little menace to deal with, to be honest.
A little gremlin at times. He's definitely a little tricky, but Lost Mine is one of the most powerful attacks in the game through a powerful condition to get there. Where does this damage counters go? I feel like if you are able to pull off a Moonlight Shuriken, you're just going to have so much value. You could always Moonlight Shuriken and like Echoing Horn as well, but of course Echoing Horn is gone, and let's see if this is the play that we talked about. So it looks like putting 2 on the active, the rest actually going on the Zacian. So it's this idea of knocking this out, putting counters on the Zacian, and then putting those 2 damage counters on the Gardevoir EX to put it in range. So something similar.
Yeah.
And it seems like it will just be 2 less counters on this Gardevoir, making sure the Zacian's at perfect math to be knocked out by Sableye.
Exactly. And, Henry, I believe, drew into the Miriam.
Wow.
The perfect card for sure. Shuffles back in the Manaphy. Do we shuffle? Oh, and the Cresselia 100%, right?
Yeah, I think Cresselia comes back. You're going to want that later on. The only thing is Cresselia can't. The issue with this is Cresselia and Manaphy both can't be benched. And it feels like Manaphy is what you're going to want to have more times than not, because something scary like Moonlight Shuriken onto something like the Manaphy or something like the Lumineon and the Zacian could really spell trouble. That's going to be enough for Sableye to spread and take the knockout that way.
That is true. Let's see if Henry has a way to find the Manaphy in the next, right? Right now, he has no refinement. Had to evolve both their Gardevoirs, both the Kirlias into the Gardevoirs. Does have the concealed cards on the Radiant Greninja. Does have Fog Crystal, but again, that only finds you Psychic Pokemon or Basic Energy.
Yeah, this is the interesting discussion I was actually reading earlier on social media. People saying, why are people playing Miriam in the deck when you get, like, that's just what happened, right? You want 2 Pokemon back, you can just play something like Clara and put those cards right in your hand. Now, Henry has to dig with something like concealed cards to try and find either the Cresselia or actually just has it. Has the Ultra Ball in hand, so never mind. Get rid of both the Battle Pass, and I think the choice here is always just get Manaphy down to play. It is sort of risky in the sense that Lost Mine is pretty much online to knock out the Zacian, and then as long as you can spread enough damage counters, you can pretty much guarantee a knockout in either of these Gardevoir X's with something like the Dragonite on your side.
100%. And I believe, yeah, again, getting the energy in hand is really... Oh, Ultra Balls for the Zacian. Does he have the Manaphy already in hand? Oh, he does!
Oh, it's there.
Hiding out there. Drew it off the Miriam.
There's so many full art cards that sometimes I'm just looking down and it's just hiding in front of me in plain sight.
Yeah, they're all blue too, right? Gets an energy attachment onto the Gardevoir. That's pretty important since right now only has 4 damage counters on it. Didn't have to attach to. Chose off the wrong side, unfortunately.
That would have been a great penny grab there, especially if the Zacian for some reason doesn't get targeted down. But I think Caleb has a good idea that Penny is somewhere in Henry's deck, and it's best to take care of the Zacian now before I get punished for not knocking it out sooner.
Yeah, all right. Let's see what Caleb can do here. Of course, promotes the Compe, and should be flower selecting in a bit. His deck actually is getting pretty low, if I'm not wrong. Oh, he did just put in a couple of energy. And, but yeah, again, hand is just absolutely huge here. It has access to Clara as well. You mentioned this earlier, just getting the full value out of this Clara, getting 2 Sableye. Yeah, I believe, 2 Sableye and 2 energy.
Yeah, this is really smart. Just understands that as long as I've got the ability to pivot once per turn, I can bench Sableye, attach to it, Lost Mine, next turn, pivot, bench Sableye, attach to it. It's that simple. Just trying to utilize Lost Mine to eventually take a multi-prize turn, either on the Zacian this turn or down the line with something like knocking out the Manaphy and putting some counters on something like Greninja even.
Yeah, we'll have to see here. Again, he has Sableye in hand? Does he maybe even choose to attack with a Dragonite this turn? Right?
It's not
Nothing
bad.
can knock out the Dragonite. There's damage counters on the Zacian. That means you can't accelerate to it. Gardevoir has 100, does only 198 damage, but no, it's going to be the Sableye there. And yeah, it's going to probably take down.
Yeah, so technically nothing can knock it out. But again, if Penny is played, Penny can pick up the Zacian and then something else can come up. So I think Caleb obviously doesn't have the information that Penny is in the prize cards for Henry. Going to take the safer route, utilize Sableye, and I'm sure this will knock out the Zacian.
Yeah, definitely take 2 prizes here, and that means... Ooh.
I guess the only risk is if you knock out Zacian, you do go into Roxanne
that's
range.
what I was thinking.
I think that's what Caleb is trying to understand. But it seems like what we saw in day 1 of Swiss. If you're so fearful of this card, you end up making these plays that allows your opponent to reposition. It is really the Penny. I feel like that's the only fear for Caleb. Do you touch this at all, or do you try and set up this play where you can essentially win the game in 2 turns? You go into Roxanne range, but you've got the game thereafter.
Yeah, this is so tough. What do you want to play around? Do you want to play around the Penny or the Roxanne?
He's thinking about it, but he is going to just go ahead and take the knockout on Zacian, go to 2 prize cards, and we're in Roxanne range, baby.
Let's see, dude. Does he even have it? Does have the Collapse in 1 turn, a little too late.
That would have been so good last turn to just take that Zacian out of the board. It was essentially just sitting there waiting to be knocked out. It could have been removed. It is still doable now, right? The Luminion is on the bench, and that's a Pokemon that, if it does take damage, you can kind of save that Stadium card to remove it. But playing it now really doesn't feel too powerful.
I mean, no, it's not in any threat. Yeah, not in any threat right now, right? You'd like to maybe bait some damage out and then bump whatever has the damage for sure. And looks like Pokestop.
Oh, we're spinning the wheel? That wasn't too good. It is level ball, though, so that can grab maybe one of these Curlia still in the deck. Mew is still available as an option. I don't really think you want to put that down into play right now. It's going to be pretty easy to get knocked out by another Lost Mine.
That is true. Let's see what maybe just grab. Just thin out the deck here is going to be the Ralts, but it's a 60 HP Ralts. Yeah, definitely not getting played here. Yeah, just having no access to your draws here, no access to any refinement, it's leaving Henry Brand's deck definitely unrefined. Still very, very big. I don't think they can Roxanne. Oh, do they have it? What's in the hand? What supporter is that?
Losses Orders is spotted, so that's going to be it. It's just going to be a Miracle Force. Henry going down to 2 prize cards. So if you're Caleb, you really want to try to win the game this turn, because the fear, of course, is that if Zacian V comes down and Boss's orders can be played onto something like Dragonite, that can be knocked out. So as much as we've been talking about Caleb being in a solid position, he needs to try and put himself in a spot to win the game. Otherwise, Henry's got an option to win in a very powerful Zacian dealing some solid damage out.
I mean, I don't see a way for Caleb to win here, do you? He doesn't play anything like a Boss's orders. The Gardevoir in the active has 270 HP.
It's so risky. I mean, maybe in that position, looking back, you try and play to your opponent not having Penny. Of course, you don't know it's prize. You don't know they don't have access to that card, but I mean, attacking with Dragonite doesn't feel great. Right now, you can Sableye and sort of set math up, knock out this Manaphy, put 20 damage counters on you can actually put 80 damage counters on or enough damage counters so that this Gardevoir is knocked out if it attacks again.
But Henry Brand, he just has it here, right? He has Boss's orders in hand. He has a Zacian in hand.
Well, it has to be enough energy as well, so that's really the question.
Yeah, there's the Gardevoir is not going to get knocked out. He gets
so he can retreat 2 off. So if he has 4 in the discard pile, then that's possible.
He has a Collapse Stadium. He can bench the Zacian.
That's true. Wait, does he have it here? I think he might have it. Hold on, let's see if Henry has it. Of course, Manaphy's being removed, so he needs to have 2 more Pokemon in play. Let's see if he has the resources to do this. Spreading damage counters around.
Does he have it? Draws a card here, has an Ultra Ball in hand, benches the Zacian. Does he have another Pokemon? There's the Boss's orders on the Dragonite, promotes the Zacian.
And the Collapse Stadium is there.
Drops the Collapse Stadium, sends the Gardevoir to the discard pile. That's enough energy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's knockout. Henry Brand, ladies and gentlemen, is your Milwaukee regional champion. Absolutely huge. Gardevoir did it.
Despite all odds, Gardevoir taking down a tournament here in the Scarlet and Violet format. None other than the top Australian player, the 2019 World Champion, Henry Brand. Excellent showcasing of this deck, really showing what it can truly do.
Ooh, Ethan, my heart was pumping there. I was just thinking, yeah, it's a lot of combination of cards, but yeah, Henry definitely got it. I mean, who'd have thunk it, right? Gardevoir getting the 2-0 on a Lost Box X, something that should have been such a tough matchup, but again, we got to see some tools be used there for sure.